Just say this. Sometimes it's odd when you're sitting in historic meetings with your Russian counterpart to spend time talking about chicken. But our ability to get resolved a trade dispute around poultry that is a multi-billion-dollar export for the United States was, I think, an indication of the seriousness with which President Medvedev and his team take all of these trade and commercial issues. And I very much appreciate the steady and consistent manner in which the President has approached these issues. That's part of what gives me confidence that we're going to get this done, and that this will just be one aspect of a broader strengthening of commercial ties, cross-border investment, and expanded opportunities and job creation, both in the Russian Federation and in the United States.
I'll say a couple of words about the WTO because it's important for our country. First of all, we have coordinated a common approach today, which says that some of the sensitive issues almost off, almost no left. So we moved along all the lines, starting from encryption and intellectual property and ending with state bodies and other things like synchronous character of changing of the Russian legislation as in the process of joining the WTO. There are some remaining technical minor problems, and our teams have been instructed to work as fast as possible, and we hope, and we have stated this, that the work will be finalized by the end of September this year. I'm quite happy that we have set the time frame not to lose all the positive momentum about mind I have elaborated, and not to dilute the talks about WTO in the issues of chicken meat or swine trimming. We're in a different situation today. As far as cooperation in the Silicon Valley is concerned, well, yesterday I paid heed that everyone wishes to call the Silicon Valley the Kremlin Valley in Russia. Probably for English there is no difference, but in Russia there is. So in the Kremlin Valley it was very interesting, the visit I mean, and I looked at the activities of major companies that will, as I hope, become our close partners for modernization and technological advancement of our economy, like those like Cisco. And yesterday we inked a memorandum on investment in some projects to the tune of great sums, and also I watched the activities of small companies situated in the Silicon Valley, which set an example of being efficient and effective in risk or high-tech business. It is very good that our companies settle in the Silicon Valley. Yesterday I browsed through the search engine Yandex, which is our #1 search engine and one of the major systems for search information in the world. So we should learn how to work, and we should not swagger saying that we are clever enough. We have something to learn in terms of organizing business, and this is prompted by my talk with the representatives of Russian business communities that moved to the United States or are here on a temporary basis. All of them are wishing to work with Russian investors. Many of them want to come back to Russia, but they do have precious experience as the Silicon Valley and what is done there. It's first and foremost people, their minds and their abilities and skills, and only after money and infrastructure. So we will carefully study the experience of the Silicon Valley, and without replicating, we will use the best practices and samples that exist in California in the framework of that major project that is called the Silicon Valley.
Alistair Bull.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to ask about the G20, since you are both heading to the summit. On China, you've already welcomed its decision on the yuan. Are you satisfied with how far the currency has moved since that news? How will this influence your judgment on whether China is a currency manipulator? And when will you release your report to Congress on this matter?
Okay. I think that China made progress by making its announcement that it's going to be returning to its phased-in, market-based approach to the RMB. The initial signs were positive, but it's too early to tell whether the appreciation that will track the market is sufficient to allow for the rebalancing that we think is appropriate. I'm going to leave it up to Secretary Tim Geithner to make a determination as to the pace. He's the expert when it comes to examining the currency markets. I will say that we did not expect a complete 20% appreciation overnight, for example, simply because that would be extremely disruptive to world currency markets and to the Chinese economy. And ultimately, not surprisingly, China's got to make these decisions based on its sovereignty and its economic platform. But we have said consistently that we believe that the RMB is undervalued, that provides China with an unfair trade advantage, and that we expect change. The fact that they have said they are beginning that process is positive. And so we will continue to monitor and verify how rapidly these changes are taking place. And I think that we will be able to track a trajectory. And if that trajectory indicates that over the course of a year, the RMB is appreciated a certain amount that is more in line with economic fundamentals, then hopefully not only will that be good for the U.S. economy, that'll also be good for the Chinese economy and the world economy. More broadly, just to widen out the challenges that the world economy faces, we said in Pittsburgh in the G20 that it was important for us to rebalance, in part because the U.S. economy for a long period of time was the engine of world economic growth. We were sucking in imports from all across the world, financed by huge amounts of consumer debt. Because of the financial crisis, but also because that debt was fundamentally unsustainable, the United States is not going to be able to serve in that same capacity to that same extent. We are obviously still a huge part of the world economy. We are still going to be open. We are still going to be importing as well as exporting. But the economic realities are such that for us to see sustained global economic growth, all countries are going to have to be moving in some new directions. That was acknowledged in Pittsburgh. That means that surplus countries are going to have to think about how are we spurring domestic demand. That means that emerging countries are going to have to think, are we only oriented towards exports, or are we also starting to produce manufacturing goods and services for the internal market? It means that deficit countries have to start getting serious about their midterm and long-term debt and deficits, and that includes the United States of America, which is why I've got a fiscal commission that's going to be reporting to me by the end of the year. So the point is, not every country is going to respond exactly the same way, but all of us are going to have responsibilities to rebalance in ways that allow for long-term, sustained economic growth in which all countries are participating and hopefully the citizens of all these countries are benefiting. Now you've got to decide.
Komsomolskaya Pravda newspaper. Got a question to both presidents. You said that you discussed the situation in Kyrgyzstan. Do you share the view on the problem and what are joint ways of solving it? It's known that Russia and US have military bases in the republic. So do you consider an opportunity to involve a military contingent if the situation in Kyrgyzstan keeps deteriorating? Yes, we have discussed this issue as the situation in the republic is difficult. At present, the state is not operating as it should. Well, the country de facto is split into parts, and